much. Now that you've met some of our stellar students, welcome to Hogwarts to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the Yale School of Public Health and look forward to the next 100 years. I'm Paul Cleary. I'm the dean of the school, and I'm absolutely delighted there's so many people are here to reflect on how much has been achieved over the last century and think about the future of public health. As we move forward, the school's mission is to improve the health of the public through excellence in research, teaching, and practice, and we're very, very excited about kicking that off. To start off, we have a couple very distinguished guests. So I'm a little out of breath after the why. Stephanie Spangler, who is Deputy Provost for Health Affairs and Academic Integrity, is here, and Bob Alpern, the Dean of the School of Medicine, is here. So I'd like to ask Stephanie if she had some remarks.
I'd rather watch you all dance and see how many deans you can get dancing with you. That would be quite an accomplishment. And I'll be sure to do a demo for the president and the provost so that they're prepared when they come over for the festivities. So President Salovey and Provost Pollock really regret they can't be here today for the kickoff, but they look forward to joining you and participating in many of your upcoming festivities. For now, I'm here to bring their greetings, their congratulations, their admiration, and their deep appreciation for 100 years of superb accomplishment and their confidence and support for an even more stellar next 100 years. On a competitive note, as you know, I come from the Provost's office. I actually can't be on a competitive note because we're only 96 years old, so you've beat the officers of the university in terms of aging. That said, I sure would like to get to be 100 years old, and I'm sure each of us aspires to be 100 years old. And as I don't have to tell you, it's largely been the advances in public health, and more specifically the innovation and leadership of YSPH that have made that a real possibility. Yes, each of us aspires to celebrate our own centennials, but only if we can be 100 years old and healthy, with a track record of cherished accomplishments and the promise of a spectacular future. Now, YSPH has demonstrated just how an institution can achieve that milestone, becoming healthier and more vibrant year after year, decade after decade, chalking up one distinctive accomplishment after another, from cutting-edge science to life-saving international and local community programs to groundbreaking legislation and policy, while always keeping an eye on future trends and new opportunities. Yes, the YSPH model is a great model for reaching the ripe old age of 100, especially since all the while it's been taking exquisite care of its elderly 300-year-old parent, Yale University. By initiating and stimulating creative interdisciplinary research programs, by cultivating broad student enthusiasm for public health issues in every school of the university through widely available and wildly appealing course offerings, and by spearheading innovative public health programs in town and around the globe, you have not only advanced the physical health, but also the academic health of our university community. Let's just say your success has been happily communicable. On a personal note, I have had the privilege from my own provostial perch to be on this journey with you for about 2 of your 10 decades. I've derived immeasurable benefit from your wisdom and dedication and developed wonderful personal and professional relationships. My thanks and congratulations are deep and heartfelt, but they're only offered on an interim basis. Since all of you are going to get me to that 100-year mark myself, I look forward to a few more decades of celebrating with you. Congratulations.
Thanks, Paul. So Paul asked me to kind of review some of the history of the School of Public Health as it evolved from the medical school. And in some respects, we have a distinct relationship between the two schools. And in some respects, I think it actually enriches both schools by a lot. So this all dates back 100 years ago to 1915, when Charles Edward Amory Winslow was named the first chair of the Department of Public Health in the medical school. And this was due to a generous gift from the family of Anna Lauder. And What Winslow did is he sparked a big interest in public health at the medical school, a lot of interdisciplinary research between many of the departments at the medical school. And that laid the groundwork for 3 decades later for the School of Public Health to become, well, for the public health program to become one of the first accredited schools of public health in the country. And in the 1960s, the Yale Department of Public Health merged with the section of epidemiology and preventative medicine, which was in the Department of Medicine, to form the Department of Epidemiology and Public Health, EPH. And I think, as many of you know, we've Paul and I have wrestled with nomenclature for the past few years, and Paul has told me that alumni would come to him and say, so what school did I actually graduate from? And I think we've kind of cleaned it up and cleared it out. It's the School of Public Health. It's a great relationship. So in 1964, then the Department of EPH moved to the present building that it's in at 60 College Street. When I actually looked to come to Yale, I thought it was just spectacular that we had this close relationship with the public health program, because there's so much that medicine and public health have in common and can learn from each other and can gain from each other. And I know when we submitted the CTSA grant, I always thought we had a leg up on the other schools because they had to bring together all their schools of healthcare, and we had already had this existing tight relationship, which I think is one of the reasons we got that CTSA grant on the first round. But so there's a long history at the medical school, and I think a lot of it is in the exhibit that's being shown, and I'm not going to go through it all, but there are some interesting things worth commenting on, and so one was related to polio. And so the Yale Poliomyelitis Research Unit, which was founded by John Rodman Paul and James Trask in 1931, and Paul was the head of the section of epidemiology and preventative medicine at the time, and they made major advances in understanding polio. Dorothy Horseman then came to Yale, and she demonstrated that the polio virus circulated in the blood before it attacked neurons, which was the whole basis for developing a vaccine, which, as you know, has almost eradicated polio. And so these were all made out of this group that was able to collaborate. And Dorothy Horseman was really one of the first great women. She was the first professor and the first endowed professor woman at Yale, at the medical school. And the other accomplishment that I think really came out of the joint collaboration was Lyme disease. And so there was a lot of discoveries where we discovered the Lyme agent and identified it as a disease, and that was done jointly between members of the public health and the medical school communities. So I think it's been a great century of collaboration, and I think the success of the School of Public Health is really noteworthy, and if nothing else makes it more clear, I can honestly tell you, in 10.5 years as dean, this is the most people I have ever seen in this room. And it's the first time I actually couldn't make it from the back of the room to the front of the room. So I think it shows the huge enthusiasm. So with that, I offer my congratulations to all of you for 100 years of public health. And I can tell you that in medicine, we have been told that the future will be best if public health thrives and it makes medicine unnecessary. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob and Stephanie, and thank you for your support. We could not have achieved what we've achieved without your support. I don't know if you noticed me, I just gave Bob a pin that's YSPH 100 years. That's in case we put the School of Medicine out of business. I encourage all of you to learn about the School of Public Health. There's aside from the drinks and the snacks and so on in here, there's a wonderful exhibit outside that goes into more detail about some of the things that Bob was alluding to, goes through some of the achievements and some of the historical lines. And it's really worthwhile. I've spent some time there and going through all the documents. It's really important periodically to look at our history, how people came to the point where they're at and the kinds of achievements they made. It's both inspiring and motivating. So I encourage you to look at that exhibit. There'll also be a whole series of events throughout the year, which you'll be hearing about. I just gave Bob and Stephanie this pen. The theme of the Centennial is innovation through collaboration. And it not only describes how we do what we do, but the way we're going to move forward. And in the spirit of collaboration, we have co-sponsored conferences with the School of Management, with Forestry and Environmental Sciences, with the School of Medicine. One of the things Bob and Stephanie and I have worked on pretty steadily since I've been here is establishing collaborations across schools and connections, not just the ones that Bob mentioned, but a whole variety of areas where our efforts are synergistic and mutually helpful. So there's going to be a whole series of events. I encourage you to go to them. Everything from, we have 3 Winslow lectures going to be given this year. We have a Millbank Memorial Fund lecture series. There's going to be an event at Long Wharf, whole series of events. So I encourage you to take advantage of those and use those as an opportunity to think about where we've been and where we're going. Get involved. This is only going to happen once, at least in my lifetime, so it's a good chance. Bob mentioned CEA Winslow. I'll just end by saying he was an incredibly prescient individual. If you go on, as many people now do, if you go on Wikipedia and say, what's public health, CEA Winslow pops up in his definition. And if you think back 100 years, he was actually editor of the Journal of Bacteriology, or what we used to call bacteriology. And he had the insight that the impact on health was much broader. Now, to this audience, that seems like a quote-unquote no-brainer. But at the time, it was really quite revolutionary, the way he was starting to think about health, the factors that influenced on health, and then the kind of collaborations that one would need to impact on health. So I know when I accepted this position, if you think back to what Winslow was thinking 100 years ago, I challenge you, and I challenge you to challenge me to think about 100 years from now, what are people going to look back at and say they got it right, they were forthcoming, they were collaborating, they were doing things differently. So help us think about that and move into the next century. So with that note, there's actually a cake here, and I don't know if people have a glass, but I'd like to make a toast to the next 100 years and a celebration to the school. People have a the next 100 years.